Hello class. This is Miss Amalemba. I'm gonna teach you how to write a lab report. And writing a lab report is pretty easy, but every science student need to know how to write a lab report. It doesn't matter whether they are in 9th grade to 12th grade or whether they are in college. They need to know how to write the lab report. So pretty much writing a lab report is for any science student, chemistry, physics, art science, etc. They need to learn how to write a lab report, and I'm going to teach you how to write the lab report. My objectives include to guide students of how to write a good lab report. Number two, my objective is to get students into typing their lab report using the Microsoft Word document. Now, the first thing you need to know as a student when writing a lab report, you always need to include your name and all the members of your lab group down, the date when you performed that lab, and the title of the lab has to be included in your report. Lab report is always written into sections. Okay, the first section we call it the purpose section. The purpose section of a lab is where you tell the reader your reason for doing the lab in the first place. Okay, for example, many researchers for drug companies have as their purpose that they want to cure AIDS or some other diseases. This section should be a 3 to 4 sentences long. If it's too short, it won't be clear why you are doing the lab. If it's too long, you are doing too much work and the reader will probably just skip over it. The second section is called the hypothesis. The hypothesis is written as in if-then statement. The hypothesis is always a one-line sentence where you discuss how you will solve the problem at hand. The statement after if is called the independent variable. Okay? The statement after then is called the dependent variable. Okay? Remember, hypothesis is an educated guess and it's always written in if-then statement. That section is called the material section. The material section is where you list everything that you used on your experiment. For example, if you used a cup, you have to write down cup. If you used the coffee, write down coffee. If you use sodium chloride, write down sodium chloride. You have to list everything that you used in the lab. Procedure section is also another section in your lab report. This procedure section is where you show the step-by-step list of things you plan on doing during the experiment. Every experiment has a procedure, but you have to use that procedure that you have been given and write it short in your lab report. Okay, make it short, but you have to write step by step. Results section is where you write down all of your raw data. Okay, it should consist of quantitative data, which is always arranged in charts. And remember, quantitative data means the data that you can measure, like 10 kilogram rice, 10 pounds of sodium chloride, whatever. It always has a number. That is called quantitative data. As well, you have to include the qualitative data, okay, which is always written out as sentences. Okay, and qualitative data is something that you can describe, not in a number form, but you can describe. For example, you can say the sky is blue. Okay, the color of my shoe is red. That is qualitative data. We have another section that is called analysis. Okay, analysis is where you explain the meaning of your results. If you need to make a graph or chart, it goes under analysis. If you need to do some calculations, they go under analysis. Okay, so pay attention to detail when you're writing a lab report. And then we have our last section, and that section is called the conclusion. The conclusion section needs to have the following: a one-line sentence that either says that the hypothesis is right or the hypothesis is wrong. If your hypothesis is right, I want you to tell me why. If your hypothesis is wrong, I want you to tell me why. Remember, you have to be specific, and you cannot just generalize your hypothesis. Okay? If you made some errors in your experiment, you should at least list two things that could have caused those errors. Okay? And also try to list ways to prevent, or ways that could have prevented those errors. Okay? Don't just make up anything. Remember, you have to stick to that experiment. Okay? Now, after you're done writing your lab report, you can always use your lab grading sheet to help you see how much points you're capable of getting on those on your lab report. For example, if your lab is pretty, it has a table of content, you get 1 point. If you have a lab date, the title, they are in front of your lab, you have 1 point. If your lab is neat, you get 2 points. And then when you have the purpose, 4 points. The purpose that is no more than 4 sentences, 1 point. So pay attention to the lab grading sheet, because it will help you get as many points as possible. And also it will guide you to what you must have forgotten to write in your report by just looking at it. Okay, and then you can just add on it before you turn in your lab report. So also just use this to guide you. Okay. Now, in order to type your lab report on a Microsoft Word, first of all, you need to go to your program, to your Windows, and look for Microsoft Word. And when you look for the Microsoft Word, you should see it looking like this. Pretty much the Microsoft Word window looks like this. Okay? And you will see there is a file here. So just click File, click New, okay, and click Create the blank document. And then you can type your name. You can type your name. Okay, I'll just write there, Rosemary. Okay, you can type everybody who was in your lab group. You know, you can say Faith. Whoever was in your lab group, you just write their names down. You can say Faith, you can say Domi, and etc. The lab date, make sure you include whatever that is. The lab title, make sure you include there. Okay, and then now you go to the lab, write the purpose of the lab, write the hypothesis. Okay, make sure you're following the lab guiding paper to help you remember what I'm looking for. Okay, I guess I can say material. Make sure you put it there. Procedure. Make sure you put there. Results. There. Analysis. Okay. conclusion. Okay, make sure under each section, make sure you write something and follow the direction, okay, to get all the points. Okay, and then after you're done, just click file and click save as. You can write whatever name you wanna write there. I will just say lab report 1 and save it whatever you wanna save it. I like to save my work under desktop, that way I can group them later on. Okay, then just click save and then make sure you print the work for me, or just send it to my email address, attach it to my email address. Other than that, that's all I have to say for today. Thank you.